Hello friends, welcome to the bridge connecting the aspirants. In this video, our focus is on daily current events of national and international importance of 17th April 2020. If this is first time you are watching my video, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Alright, let's get into the content. So let us divide our today's current affairs into two sections. One is which is important for only prelims, that is the factual information. Another section which is important for both prelims and mains. Alright, let us begin with what are the facts which are important for prelims. First and foremost, Chitra Gene Lamp N. It is a diagnostic test kit that is used to confirm COVID-19 cases. So what is the novelty of this test kit? It confirms the case within 2 hours with 100% accuracy. Second thing, it is developed by Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute. It is in Trivandrum, Kerala. Clear? So these are the two important things which are important for prelims. Now moving on, the second important thing is Obicus. So it is a survey conducted by RBI, Reserve Bank of India, quarterly. That means every 3 months. It is a survey conducted on the manufacturing sector. So its full form is Order Books, Inventories and Capacity Utilization Survey. So how it helps us? It helps us in understanding what are the orders, that is within 3 months, how the orders in manufacturing sector are varying, what is their inventory and what is their capacity utilization. It gives valuable inputs to RBI for monetary policy formulations. Okay, so these are the two important facts for prelims. Now moving on to the next section, which is events which are important for both prelims and mains. First and foremost, water management. Why it was in news? Recently, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has given an advisory to the state governments to ensure safe drinking water supply and management, as the lockdown due to COVID has been extended to May 3. Now, what is the need? See, in order to contain the spread of COVID-19, the government has given a directive that you have to wash your hands repeatedly and continuously. So, due to this, the domestic water usage has increased. Therefore, there is a possibility that the availability of drinking water might reduce. Further, India is already in a water stress region. So, many of the states in India are already facing the water stress and scarcity. According to the international definitions, if the availability of water per capita is less than 1700 cubic meters, so then it is termed as water stress is there. So if it is less than 1000 cubic meters per capita, then we say the region has scarcity of water. Clear? Now what are the challenges of water in India? See, first challenge is the falling groundwater level. The water table is reducing in India. So it is further aggraved by frequent drought situations in India. Every year we have a drought like situation. Whenever there is delaying in the monsoons or inadequacy in the rainfall, we'll have droughts. Second thing is the agriculture and industry is increasing its demand day by day in order to produce more and more to the population, increasing population. Next, the pollution and poor water resource management. That is, the recycling capacity of India is not up to the mark. So, with respect to the water, further, the water pollution is aggraving the situation. Next, the issue of climate change is adding to further intensification of non-availability of waters. Apart from this, the internal conflicts with respect to interstates water sharing. I can give an example of Kaveri water dispute, right? It is aggraving the situation and it is posing a severe challenge in effective management of the resources. Now, how to face these challenges? What steps do we have to take? What are the initiatives taken by government? Please, I have given all the steps here. Go through them. I'm going to discuss certain schemes taken up by the government. Let us begin with the initiatives and schemes taken up by the government of India. So, in order to ensure irrigation to all the agricultural sector, Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, watershed management, check dam building, etc. have been conducted. Further, in association with World Bank, we are implementing a scheme known as Drip Dam Rehabilitation Program. Further, you might have seen emphasis to the micro irrigation, that is per drop more crop. and also we are emphasizing on the rainwater harvesting and roof water harvesting, and different authorities have been set up. For example, the river water sharing. To solve these disputes, we have tribunals. Further, recently a central authority has been set up to come up with innovative solutions on how we can conserve the river waters. Further, there is emphasizing on crop diversification and cropping pattern. Now, please recall the fact that India is a net water exporter. What does it mean? We are exporting water. How? We are exporting the agricultural products which are water intensive. So when we export these agricultural products, indirectly we are exporting our water. So in order to reduce this, crop diversification and emphasis on crops which needs less irrigation such as pulses has been pushed by the government of India. Further, the government is taking various schemes and initiatives such as Atal Bhujal Yojana, Jal Shakti Yojana, etc. to provide safe drinking water to all the masses of India. Clear? Now moving on to the second thing, it is related to environmental impact assessment. Why was it in news? Because recently the government has made certain amendments to environmental impact assessment in order to provide impetus to drug making industry to fight against COVID-19. So what are the changes? First and foremost, all projects or activities with respect to bulk drugs or intermediaries, they do not require the environmental impact assessment. So they have been recategorized from existing A category to B2 category. I'll discuss what is this category while discussing the environmental impact assessment. Now, second change which has been made is decentralization. That is, the clearances to environmental impact assessment now can be given by state level government. It is to expedite the drug making process. Further, the third amendment is whatever the changes that have been made, they are applicable up to 30th September 2020. Please remember this. Now let us understand little bit about environmental impact assessment. See, what is the meaning of environmental impact assessment? Assessment is nothing but evaluation. So it is a evaluating process to know what is the impact of a project or certain industry on particular environment. So it has been included by Environmental Protection Act of 1986. Now please remember, in 2016 there were certain changes made to this act. So first and foremost, the environmental impact assessment for certain industries such as mining, thermal power plants, river valleys, etc. was made mandatory. This is first change. Second thing, the responsibility has been decentralized. That means the state governments has been given the responsibility to give certain clearances. We'll see what responsibility is given to state governments and what is retained by the central government. Now, under this notification, there were two categories in the environmental impact assessment. First is category A. So this needs central government approval and it is in the national level. Category B, it is at the state level. This is the decentralization which is given, more responsibility which is given to the state governments. Now again this category B is further divided into two, which is B1 and B2. Now B2, whatever that is there, whatever the industry or activity which is there in the B2 category does not require any clearance. No clearance is required here. It can be directly made operational. Next, in B1, it requires, there is a mandatory EIA, Environmental Impact Assessment clearance, and it is given by state government. Now, the recent amendment in the wake of COVID-19, it made whatever the projects which are in the list A to category B2. That means which needed mandatory environmental clearances from the central government to no need for any environmental clearances, and the authority has been shifted to state governments. Now even the state governments can give the clearances to these projects. It is to expedite the drug making process in order to fight COVID-19. Clear? Moving on. Next thing which got highlighted in the news is Software Technology Parks of India. Why was it in news? Recently, the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology has given a rental waiver to all the IT companies which are situated in software technology parks of India. So for a period of 4 months, that is from March to June, they have been given a rent waiver. Now let us understand little bit about Software Technology Parks of India. It is an autonomous society. So the society is chaired by the Union Minister of MIT, that is Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. It was established in 1991 under MIT. So the objective of these parks is to encourage, promote and boost export of software from India. Clear? Now, what are the objectives in a broader sense? First and foremost is to develop and export software and software services from India to other. That is business outsourcing. Next, second thing is to implement the schemes made by the government with respect to IT sector. Then third thing is to provide data communication services and to boost and to promote MSME sector, micro, small and medium enterprises, by providing them the environment and services from the IT field. Clear? So these are the objectives of the software technology parks in India. Please remember that. Now next thing which got highlighted in the news is Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana. Why was it in news? Recently the government has distributed over 1.51 crores LPG free cylinders to the beneficiaries of Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana under Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana. Yesterday I discussed about Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana under the facts for prelims. Please revise it. Now let us understand little bit about Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana. It was aimed to provide a clean cooking fuel to BPL families, below poverty line families, and it was initiated in 2016 May by the Honorable Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi ji, and the target is to provide 5 crore LPG connections to the BPL families with a support of 1600 rupees per connection. Clear? The beneficiaries are identified through socio-economic caste census data. Remember this. The data is compiled and provided by the central government. However, the beneficiaries are identified by the state government. Remember this fact. It is important for prelims. Now, moving on to the eligibility criteria. First and foremost, the person must be a woman member, adult woman from BPL family. So three things covered. One is woman, next is adult, that means age is more than 18, and citizen of India and from the BPL family with the satisfaction of the income limits. Clear? Second thing is, in such a family no other member has any LPG connection or should not be covered under any other state government or any other government schemes which are providing the same free connection. Next, the beneficiary has to match with the socio-economic caste census data. Clear? Now, what are the objectives? First and foremost is to provide the free and clean cooking fuel, so that to improve the health of women and children, particularly those who are engaging in the cooking. Okay. Next, second thing is it is to reduce the pollution and the number of deaths with respect to unclean cooking fuel, and also to reduce significant number of respiratory illnesses in children and women. These are the broader objectives of Pradhan Mantri Ujjwal Yojana. So these are the topics which got highlighted in 17th of April. So let us do a quick revision. First, let us begin with prelims. Two things got highlighted. One is with respect to COVID test kit. What is the name of the test kit? It is Chitra Gene Lamp N. Next, second thing is with respect to RBI, that is OBCUS, the survey conducted by RBI every 3 months. Now, what are the issues which got highlighted with respect to both prelims and mains? First and foremost, water management and directives given by the central government. Second thing is the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana. Next, environmental impact assessment. And finally, the software parks. So that's it, friends. These are the events which were highlighted in the newspaper, which are of some relevance to UPSC preparation. So please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click on the bell icon. Thank you very much.